Well, I would grant you, and again, this is the topic of my book, Waking Up, that there are possibilities on the positive end of human psychology that very few people actualize for any significant amount of time. And people glimpse them in their best moments in life. They have peak experiences, whether on drugs or, after some crisis, or they've been fasting, or they have moments where they feel as good as they have ever felt. They feel as in touch as they ever will with just the sheer profundity of slamming into the present moment and finding it totally captivating and worthy of their attention. They're not looking elsewhere for anything. They have become identical to the feeling of being and found it to be, in some basic sense, perfect. That's available to us as human beings. And there's not much of a scientific story to tell about it at the moment. It's not arrived at by understanding more about the universe scientifically. So it is, in some sense, orthogonal to all of science. But my point is that it doesn't require delusion either. It doesn't require belief in anything on insufficient evidence. It doesn't require that we believe certain books were revealed by the creator of the universe and others weren't. You can get rid of 90% of what people are doing in the name of religion and spirituality and mysticism and still find this project captivating. The 10% that you retain, perhaps, is when you hear these stories about people like Buddha and Jesus and all of the people who have made heroic efforts to be like them historically, the Christian contemplatives and Buddhist monks and all the rest, you can find in the biographies and pseudo-biographies of these people some evidence that transforming the human mind is possible. And you can find that evidence in your own life if you have the right experiences. And you can see that human consciousness is perturbable and plastic, and you need not be who you were yesterday. And so when you're talking about becoming your best self or becoming more and more like the best selves that have ever existed, or you talk about transcending the self itself as an illusion, right? All of this stuff is worth thinking about and paying attention to, and there is a there. I'm not doubting that for a second. What I'm insisting upon, however, is that we need never step off the razor's edge of real honesty and conceptual integrity, even for a moment, in order to walk in that direction. And that's, as you said, most New Agers see no problem in indulging any kind of happy talk about the significance of crystals or whatever it is they're connected to. And that's where it becomes startlingly unscientific. And that's where someone like Deepak Chopra and I can't agree about how to talk about things, because the moment we start, he hits me with, you close your eyes and you feel at one with the universe. That proves that you preceded the Big Bang. Your consciousness was there before the Big Bang. Now, of course, it proves nothing of the kind. What I'm arguing for is that we just remain attentive to honest talk about what we know about reality, even while we have deep experiences and seek them out by whatever means. And again, I will grant you that there are means that would amount to a kind of internal costume party where you can think in terms of myth. If you said to me, Sam, I want you to think of the rest of your day in terms of the hero archetype. What are you doing today to slay the dragon and bring back that hoarded wealth to your community? That's a pattern of thought that I have no question could have some utility, right?
Well, that's what we were doing today, Sam.
Right. But again, the crucial bit is that in doing that, I'm not making claims to knowledge about the ethereal existence of archetypes. There's no, Akashic record or collective unconscious. I'm not making claims of that kind at all in order to find this way of thinking useful. And I'm not aligning myself with any provincial tradition of myth-making, i.e. a religion, and claiming that my religion is better than others, which is, as we see every time we open the newspaper, a divisive game that we have to figure out some way of unraveling.
Right, we do. And I mean, your emphasis on clear-headed thinking, I mean, this is part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you. I mean, certainly one of the things that you demonstrated the first time we talked was your capacity for clear-headed thinking. I mean, you're crazily incisive and laser focused, and those are extraordinarily useful attributes. And that's partly why I thought it would be so useful for us to have a conversation. I'm an advocate of critical thinking. We have to get this right. But having said that, the abandonment of all value structures, which is, say, the postmodernist perspective, isn't a way forward, because it leads to a situation where people are going to be unconsciously possessed by far more foolish ideas than they left behind them.
You're certainly not getting that in me. I'm not advocating that we abandon value structures. To the contrary, the value that we should have in hand, perhaps before any other, is the one you referenced earlier, which is honesty on
Yes,
every level, because it's the only thing, when you're talking about honest speech, it's the only thing that allows us to course correct collectively. It's the only thing.
yes, exactly.
If you're going to lie to me, then you are denying me your view of reality. And insofar as you have a view that can be useful to me, we're now playing a game that is not at all optimized for course correction. And so as a society, we need to be, and this is where your defense of free speech comes in and has been so useful. We have to be committed to defending free speech, however impolitic or unpopular or even wrong, because defending that is the only barrier to, in the limit, violence. Because the only way we can influence one another, short of physical violence, is through speech, through communicating ideas. And the moment you say certain ideas can't be communicated, you create a circumstance where people have no alternative but to go hands on you. But again, there's nothing in me that is echoing a postmodern relinquishment of a sense that there are right and wrong answers. To the
No, I
contrary,
understand. I understand that, and I'm certainly not assuming that you are in that camp or that you think that way. It's quite clear to me that you don't.